Hello, and welcome to this video on types of variables. Variables are types of data that change, whether you change them yourself or whether they are changed by the effects of other things. So determining the types of variables as to whether they are dependent or independent variables is very important when it comes to reporting your findings, your outcomes, or what you are measuring, what you are looking for, and how you are going to look for it. Again, types of variables are either dependent or independent. For the most part, you can look at this as what you change and what you measure. There will be something that you are changing in your experiment or in your research, and there is something that you are measuring in your experiment or in your research. What you change is the independent variable. The independent variable is what you change. What you change, the independent variable, goes on the x-axis of your graph. And the independent variable causes the effect. It is causing the effect. What you measure, for the most part, what you measure is the dependent variable. The dependent variable goes on the y-axis, and the dependent variable gets affected by the cause. So the dependent variable is the variable that is affected by the independent variable. The independent variable does not care about the dependent variable, but the dependent variable does care about the independent variable. So you could either remember it as saying that the dependent variable is what you measure, and the independent variable is what you change, or you can remember it as the dependent variable gets affected by the cause, and the independent variable is what causes the effect. Looking at this situation, this says Alex is researching a new medication for asthma. She needs to alter the amount of medication given to see if the breathing rate changes. What is being changed and what is being measured? Well, what is being changed is the amount of medication. She is changing the amount of medication. What is being measured is the breathing rate. She is seeing if the breathing rate changes. So what is being changed is the amount of medication, and what is being measured is the breathing rate. What is being changed, that is our independent variable. What is being measured, that is our dependent variable. So our independent variable is the amount of medication. The dependent variable is the breathing rate changes. Looking at this next one, Michael is wanting to see how much fertilizer is required to help his plants produce more beans. So what is Michael changing? He's not changing the amount of beans produced. He can't affect that really, but he is changing how much fertilizer he's using. So what is being changed is the amount of fertilizer he's using. What is being measured is the amount of beans his plants are producing. The amount of fertilizer is what's being changed. The amount of beans grown is what is being measured, which means that the independent variable is the amount of fertilizer and the dependent variable is the amount of beans. The amount of beans will grow more because it is dependent on the amount of fertilizer. Looking at this next one, it says Noah is researching how classical music can increase children's reading ability. He sets a variety of students to listen to classical music for different times and then collects their reading result. What is being changed? What is being measured? Have a think about it. Noah is changing the different times. He is collecting their reading results. So as he is collecting their reading results, that is what is being measured. And as he is changing the different times, that's what's being changed. So the amount of time listened is what's being changed, and the reading results is what's being measured. So the independent variable is the amount of time listened. The dependent variable is the reading results. This one is a bit tricky. it says Sonia is studying how rising ocean temperatures are impacting on the amount of coral in the Great Barrier Reef. Now, Sonia isn't changing anything here. She's seeing how rising ocean temperatures, which she doesn't change, are impacting on the amount of coral, which she also isn't changing. This is where we come to our second definition of the independent and dependent variable. The independent variable causes the effect. The dependent variable gets affected by the cause. So what we have here is Sonia is studying how rising ocean temperatures are impacting the amount of coral. So the amount of coral is what is being affected. What is being affected is the amount of coral. What is causing the effect? Rising ocean temperatures. The amount of coral is what is being affected. The rising ocean temperatures is what is causing the effect. What is being affected? That is our dependent variable. It gets affected by the cause. And what is causing the effect? That is our independent variable. It's causing the effect. So our independent variable, these have been switched around now. Our independent variable is the rising ocean temperatures. Our dependent variable is the amount of coral. Now that is a lot of science and research, and where you will find these questions in science and in research studies. What about maths though? We've been doing this sort of thing for years now. We have an equation here, y equals 3x plus 2. And when we go through and we create this table here, we start with x equals 1 and we find out what y equals. So if x is 1, that's 3 times 1, which is 3, plus 2, so y is equal to 5. And then we go through, x equals 2. 3 times 2 equals 6, plus 2, which is 8. If x equals 3, 3 times 3 equals 9, plus 2 equals 11. If x equals 4, 3 times 4 equals 12, plus 2 equals 14. If x equals 5, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2, which is 17. So which one of these did we change, and which one did we measure? Which one did we change, and which one was affected? Well, we changed our x value. We set these numbers what we wanted. We went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we measured with each of these values what the y value is. We measured each of these. So our x is, in this situation, our x is our independent variable. It's what we changed. Our y is our dependent variable. That's what we measured. And remember up the very top, I wrote that our independent variable goes on the x-axis and our dependent variable goes on the y-axis. So when we graph this, our x, which is our independent variable, goes on our x-axis, down the bottom here. And our y, which is our dependent variable, goes on the y-axis, which is up here. This is why we write equations as y equals something x plus something, because our x is our independent variable and our y is our dependent variable. We've been doing it for years. That is all for this video. I hope you understand a bit more as to what is an independent variable and what is a dependent variable.